Imagine a place where escape is nearly impossible. A fortress designed to keep the most dangerous criminals locked away for life. These are not ordinary prisons. They are the world's most secure facilities, where some of the most notorious criminals live under 24-hour surveillance, behind layers of steel, concrete, and cutting-edge security. Today, we take you inside the top 10 most secure prisons in the world. 10. Tadmor Military Prison, Syria. Our list begins with Tadmor Prison in Syria, once called the most oppressive prison in the world. Originally built as a military barracks, this facility became infamous for its brutal conditions. Prisoners lived in constant fear, subjected to extreme torture, starvation, and mass executions. One of the darkest moments in Tadmor's history happened in 1980 when the Syrian government ordered the execution of hundreds of inmates in retaliation for an assassination attempt. Guards stormed the prison, shooting and hacking prisoners to death. For decades, Tadmor symbolized terror and inescapable punishment until it was destroyed in 2015, but its legacy of fear remains. 9. Camp Delta, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Located in Cuba, Camp Delta at Guantanamo Bay is one of the most controversial prisons in the world. Built after the 9/11 attacks, it was designed to house the most dangerous terrorists. Prisoners here are held in extreme isolation, some in tiny cells with no windows, under constant surveillance. The facility has been criticized for human rights violations, including reports of harsh interrogations and indefinite detention without trial. Despite efforts to shut it down, Guantanamo Bay remains operational, continuing to hold some of the world's most high-risk prisoners. 8. La Santé Prison, France. In the heart of Paris lies La Santé Prison, one of France's most infamous high-security facilities. Opened in 1867, this prison was built like a fortress. It houses murderers, terrorists, and high-profile criminals. What makes La Santé unique is its history of brutal conditions and multiple escape attempts. But breaking out is nearly impossible. Walls up to 30 feet high, underground tunnels patrolled by guards, and a near-total lockdown for the most dangerous inmates. Even high-profile criminals like Carlos the Jackal, a notorious terrorist, couldn't escape. La Santé remains a chilling reminder that in France, justice is inescapable. 7. Arthur Road Jail, India. India's most secure prison, Arthur Road Jail, has been home to the country's most dangerous criminals. Built in 1926, this facility is notorious for its overcrowded conditions and unbreakable security. One of its most famous inmates was Ajmal Kasab, the terrorist responsible for the 2008 Mumbai attacks. Even though he was under extreme security, the Indian government knew the risk was too high, so he was executed elsewhere. With high-tech surveillance, armed guards, and an impenetrable structure, Arthur Road Jail remains India's most feared prison. 6. ADX Florence, USA. Dubbed the Alcatraz of the Rockies, ADX Florence in Colorado is the most secure prison in the United States. Home to terrorists, serial killers, and drug lords, it's designed to break the human spirit. Inmates spend 23 hours a day in soundproof, windowless cells, with no human contact. Even their food is delivered through a small slot in the door. Famous inmates include Unabomber Ted Kaczynski, 9/11's conspirators Akarius Musoy, and Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. Escape impossible. IDX Florence is a living nightmare for its residents. 5. Xinjiang Prison, China. China's most secretive and high-security prison, Xinjiang, was built in the 1950s specifically for political prisoners. Unlike other prisons, its location high in the mountains adds an extra layer of security. Every prisoner is watched 24/7, and they rarely interact with others. Most inmates here are former government officials accused of corruption or betrayal. With its extreme isolation and military-level security, escaping from Xinjiang is simply not an option. 4. Fuchu Prison, Japan. Japan's Fuchu Prison is one of the most technologically advanced in the world. It houses dangerous criminals, spies, and war criminals. What makes it unique? Automated surveillance systems and robotic guards that monitor prisoners 24/7. Inmates follow a strict schedule, with every movement tracked. This futuristic prison leaves no room for error. Escape, forget about it. 3. Federal Correctional Complex, Florence, USA. Known as the Alcatraz of the 21st century, FCC Florence houses the most dangerous criminals in the United States. Inmates here include cartel leaders, terrorists, and high-profile gang members. Security measures include laser sensors, motion detectors, and armed guards with orders to shoot on sight. For prisoners here, there is no way out. 2. HM Prison Belmarsh, UK. Belmarsh Prison in the UK is often compared to Guantanamo Bay due to its high-profile inmates, including terrorists and spies. One of its most famous residents, Julian Assange, founder of WikiLeaks. Security is at its peak, with multiple gates, fingerprint access, and 24/7 surveillance. Only the most dangerous criminals end up here. 1. Black Dolphin Prison, Russia. And finally, the most secure prison in the world, Black Dolphin Prison in Russia. This facility is reserved for the worst of the worst serial killers, cannibals, and terrorists. Inmates here are under constant supervision, with guards rotating every 15 minutes. Prisoners are transported blindfolded so they never learn the layout of the prison. They are forced to walk bent over, hands behind their backs, making escape nearly impossible. With no parole and extreme conditions, Black Dolphin is where prisoners disappear forever. These prisons are not just walls and barbed wire. They are fortresses designed to keep the world's most dangerous criminals locked away forever. Which prison do you think is the most terrifying? Let us know in the comments below.